you looking to sharpen your budgeting skills? You're in the right place. Welcome to the Budget Couple Podcast, where we talk about life, family, and how to afford it. And now, the Budget Couple themselves, Nate and Danielle.
Welcome to the Budget Couple Podcast. I'm Nate.
And I'm Danielle.
And this week we're going to answer a review that we actually have. Before we get into all that, first off, thank you for all of you who have left reviews. It really helps grow the show, and we appreciate your time in writing them. It means a lot to us, and we do really honestly appreciate it. With that said, if you have any questions for us or want to leave us a review, you can do so on Apple Podcasts or your podcast player of choice. Or if you have a question for us, you can always go to our website, budgetcouple.com, click on that contact form, and we'll get back in touch with you or answer you live here on the air. So with that said, we're going to go ahead and address a review that we recently sort of got.
So each episode, we talk about how grateful we are for all the wonderful reviews we receive. And Nate actually just finished saying that. And we are so happy to see so many awesome reviews and to see that we're helping folks out, or at least just teaching you a thing or two, or you know, there's some camaraderie in all of this. But sometimes the reviews aren't so great, and we appreciate those as well, of course. So it's important to us to really read and share even the negative feedback we're getting, because we know we're not perfect and we don't want to be portrayed that way. So we just want to be open and honest. And so we're going to take this episode to discuss a review that we received actually over the summer, and it's been a crazy summer / almost fall here, or going into fall here, so we haven't gotten around to it. But it brings up some good points that we want to address. So I'm going to go ahead and read it for us. This is not a budget show, but a borrowing show. Solar panels, electric car, kitchen and bath remodel. This couple did not meet a debt they didn't like. And all of that while they are broke and in serious mortgage debt. Don't follow the lost into debt. You can do better. Save and pay cash. Cash is king. You can't afford it if you can't pay cash. Your son deserves a fully funded 529 or ESA. Whew. Hard to read, right?
But there's some good points in there and some things that we definitely do want to address, not because they're wrong on anything. I don't think they're wrong on particularly any of their points, depending on their philosophy. But I think that's the key point, is we want to address the philosophy of why we do what we do, how we do it, and how it works with what we're doing. Because there's definitely parts of that we disagree with, but we'll get into that, because we want to present it in a fair, honest way. And again, we want to present our philosophy on how we address these things.
Absolutely. So I want to preface all of this by saying that we don't really view this podcast as like a money how-to or even a budget tutorial. We see it as our financial story, and we just like to chat about how we budget as a couple and how we make decisions about money. And some of those choices may be bad, some are okay, and some might even be good ones now and then. We never say that our way is the only way that it can be done, or even that it's the best way. But we do think it's important for people to get thinking and talking about money. It really shouldn't be a scary or taboo subject. It should be something that you're comfortable talking with, definitely with your significant other, but even with friends and family, if you're comfortable with that. You know, it shouldn't be something that's scary. Yeah,
we routinely talk to our parents about financial decisions that we're making, just to bounce ideas off them, because they've had a lot more life experience than we have, and we want to make sure that we're thinking through all the potential issues, all those problems. Now, that shouldn't be something that should scare you. If it does, try to figure out why that is. But for us, it's never really been a problem. It's just something that we've felt comfortable with our parents, and we want to make sure that money is something that isn't scary for anybody. We want it to be an approachable subject.
So with all that said, let's go ahead and try and unpack this review a little bit. It seems like the main gripe is about the amount and frequency with which we borrow money. And I'll say, fair enough. Good point. You'll find a lot of schools of thought out there that believe you should never borrow even a cent of money. If you don't have the cash outright, you just don't get the thing, whatever it may be. And that's not a bad way to look at things. I mean, it means you never have to go into debt. You never have to worry about a $10,000 credit bill with a 20% interest rate on it, because you're never putting yourself in that position in the first place. And that's really awesome. That's not a bad way to live. And if you can manage this lifestyle and it feels comfortable for you, then definitely go for it. We are not against that in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah, we try to stay out of major debts, but there are some things and some reasons why we do go into debt. And the main thing that we always think about debt is there's always a purpose and a plan to go ahead and take care of it, and a plan on top of the plan in case things don't go the way we hope it does. We have a backup plan on every time we take out some type of loan or some type of interest bearing thing. We always have backup plans on backup plans to plan for the worst.
It's not a long-term thing. It's not a lifestyle. You know, it's for a specific purpose. The only long-term debt we have is our house. So, just to clarify that. At least in our case, we chose not to go the no debt route for two main reasons. I'll start with the first here. We felt we couldn't achieve some of the goals we wanted to without borrowing money. So for instance, we wanted a home that would fit our family, that we could, grow into, and that had a yard. We love dogs and we like that nature space. So we wanted those two things. And where we live here and the cost of housing, we would have had to save for at least 15 years, if not 20 or more, to accomplish that goal just in cash, to save all that money. And we just decided we did not want to raise our son in an apartment, and we didn't want to wait till we were in our 40s to have kids. So we were kind of stuck. We had to have a mortgage to accomplish our goals. We did, however, try to do this smartly. We bought below our means. We paid extra on the principal every month. And we have actually recently refinanced to a 15-year mortgage now that our incomes are a little bit higher and we're more established. So a conservative goal that we like to set and that we tell people is maybe a good goal if they are thinking about owning a home. Have your mortgage within 25% of your take-home pay. And so we're at about 24% now with our new 15-year mortgage. And we feel comfortable with that. We're comfortable with our budget and where it sits.
Yeah, we always make sure whatever we're saying on the podcast, we're actually following through with. These are our real numbers. This is our real life. So we go through and we want to make sure that when we say something, we actually do practice it. And we honestly, really, truly do follow through on everything that we say and mention on this podcast. So when we're looking at saying around 25%, we personally make sure we do that or under. And if you want to be a little bit more brazen, you can go up to like 30, 33%. We started around 33%-ish. When we first got our mortgage, but as our incomes have risen, that number has decreased. But again, we practice what we're preaching. We're not going through and just saying something to say. We make sure we follow through with what we're doing. And
we miss the mark sometimes. We have goals that we set financially, and sometimes we miss the mark. So we're practicing what we preach, but we're also not perfect. So just add that. So the second reason that we decided to have debt in our life was because we feel really comfortable with our ability to pay money back quickly and responsibly. And, this is an aspect of just kind of hard work and trying, but it's also I think, our personality. And it's just how we operate. So we feel confident in our ability to do this. So the review mentions our solar panels, our car, our remodels, and all of those were done using loans. Each of these items we could have saved for and paid in cash if we were willing to wait that extra year or 2 or 3 or whatever that it took to save up. And for a lot of people out there, that may be the best route. I know a lot of people that do that for remodels and cars. They save up for a couple years and they pay in cash. And patience is a virtue, and paying in cash, I would say, is ideal. But we're impatient.
Just a bit.
And we didn't want to wait. Maybe we should have for some or all of these, but it's a choice we made. Again, we're not perfect, and we were impatient with these things. We did, however, make sure we borrowed responsibly. We ensured that each item we bought was within our means to pay back quickly, and that if one or both of us lost our jobs, we could still handle the payments each month within our crash fund, and that would last us 3 to 6 months. So we knew always that we could take care of that and that we wouldn't default on the loan if we lost our jobs.
And that's in addition to our normal expenses that we have. So we covered the mortgage, food, gas, whatever. We have all that covered. And then in addition to that, we still have 3 or 6 months worth of money to cover the extra money on the loans that we would have. So we have buffer in there handled.
So we're confident that we can stick to a budget and we can put extra toward a debt each month. And so the length of the loan may be 5 years when we get it, but we just make the decision of how long we want to pay it off in. So we make the decision of a year, for instance. And so all this comes down to we're basically paying a slight premium in the interest rate, of course, to buy the thing sooner. And so right or wrong, that's the choice we make. We pay a premium in order to get the thing sooner.
So let's take a look at some of the loans that we've taken out that the review mentions and just kind of mention how we paid them off and what we did here. The solar panels were $36,000. That loan was paid off in roughly 18 months. We paid roughly about $1,000 worth of interest. So we had a $1,000 premium on that, but it covered it. As far as the electric car goes, that was $23,000. We are still paying on that, but it's a 0% interest rate. So it's essentially free money. It doesn't cost us anything other than the monthly payment. And we have about $11,000 left on that part of our debt. And then we also had the home remodel, which was $30,000. And that was a second mortgage that we took out. And that was paid off in 11 months. So we pay everything off within a year to a year and a half, minus the electric car because it's 0% interest. It doesn't make financial sense to put more money on that. Now, when we take a look at the car and the solar panels in particular, there's a clock running on those things because they have credits that go with them, tax credits. Now, the solar one's going to be expiring soon or begin going down. And the electric car one is once the auto manufacturer sells a certain number of cars, it starts decreasing as well. So there could have actually been a hidden cost to us here if we didn't make them at the time, or paying in all cash to save up for it, it would have cost us more in the cash than it would have to take a small loan, paying it off quickly, and paying a small amount of interest because we wouldn't have gotten a tax credit. All told, between the car and the solar panels, we had almost $26,000 worth of tax credits applied to our tax bill. That's both on federal and state. So there's a significant amount of money coming back to us, and we paid nowhere close to that amount of money in interest. For both of those, or really the only loan we had was the solar panels. That was about $1,000. So even though we spent a lot of money, I feel like we got something for it. And then we also theoretically made money on deals because we got the credits and we also have a lower electricity bill and we also have no gas. I actually just calculated our gas savings the other day because I was bored at school and I was just like, okay, it's the end of the day. Let me figure what this was. I calculated our gas savings around $2,500 over the past 3 years for the electric car. So that pays for things very quickly.
Yeah. So, this is another instance where we couldn't really meet our goals if we had saved up and paid in cash. We couldn't have met the goal of taking advantage of these tax credits if we had waited several years to save the cash for it. So we went ahead and paid that premium of, $1,000 in interest to make sure we got those tax credits and that we could start, using that free electricity and that, the no gas payments on the car. So just another example of how sometimes to meet your goals, it might take taking out a small loan. So returning to the review for a second, there are two things that I disagree with, maybe Nate as well. And again, this is not that they're wrong or anything. It's just that it's a difference in philosophy. So I disagree with the fact that we're broke and that our son will not have his college paid for. So I guess it depends on how you define broke. We're fortunate enough to have a fully funded crash fund. We have 15% of our pay going to retirement each month. We have no credit card debt, and we have a mortgage that's within 25% of our take-home pay. So we're meeting all of our goals there. And
in addition to that, we're putting extra onto the house every month. So we have extra money that we're putting down on things. So that 15-year mortgage should be paid off in 10. Yep.
Exactly. And there are many other goals we're meeting. We're increasing our donations recently. We are going to be diving into the stock market. We probably will do a podcast on that eventually here. So we're meeting other goals too. But to us, that just isn't what we would consider broke. But if you believe that any debt whatsoever equals broke, then I can understand how you would describe us this way, because we do have $270,000 odd in house debt. So, and another $11,000 in car. Yeah. So we do have quite a bit of debt when you think about our mortgage. So, it's really, I think, a difference in philosophy. On the other hand, I really do want to emphasize that our son is 100% our number one priority. And we began saving for college within the first month of his life, quite literally.
Absolutely.
So now that our income is a bit higher, we have upped our contribution. We started with $250 a month, and we're now at $350 a month. And this amount is right about where we want to be. We probably aren't going to increase it any further than that unless we learn something about college that we didn't know before. But this gets us to the amount we want to save by the time he's 18. We've done a lot of calculators online and done some math, and this amount of saving will roughly get us around $130,000 to $140,000 by the time he's 18, as long as the stock market doesn't totally crash. So this should hopefully be enough for 4 years of a public in-state school, which is what we are willing to pay for him. And so if for whatever reason this amount doesn't quite pan out, we also will have already paid off our house at that point. In fact, we plan to have it paid off in the next 10 years. So we would easily be able to cash flow the remainder of whatever we didn't make up in savings. So we're 100% confident that we will pay for all of his college. It's something our parents both did for us, and we will totally do it for him. And I think we are on track for that.
I would agree. I think we're totally on track for that. And even if we're not, if we pay off our house in 10 years, he'll be in middle school. So we'll have 4 years to pay that off and to get everything ready to go for college. So I think we'll be in good shape with that. But first off, thank you again for the review. Even though it's not a glowing review by any means, it's by Concerned Listener 101. But that's fine. We appreciate feedback of all types. And honestly, it allows us to think in a different way and see different people's perspectives. So it doesn't bother us to get a bad review. We just wanted to make sure we addressed it without sounding defensive or anything like that. Hopefully we didn't. But we did want to just address the points in it and show our philosophy of how we take our budget and apply it to our lives every day. Because it is a daily part of our lives. It's something we think about on a all the time basis. And it's good to see how other people think of our philosophy and what they agree or disagree with.
Yep. So negative or positive, feel free to leave us reviews. We we're reading this negative review on here. I feel like we should be reading a couple of the positive ones too. So maybe we'll do that in the future, but we love hearing your reviews. We like that our journey, and telling our journey is helping somebody in some way, or at least having them feel like they're not alone in this journey. Is really nice to us.
Absolutely. Because again, this is our journey. But if you're along for the ride, if it helps you in any way, or even if you just like listening to us talk for 15, 20 minutes every other week, that's fine. But thank you guys again for listening. We really appreciate all the reviews, positive, negative. It's all good feedback. And we appreciate your time and care that you guys put into listening and responding to us. So thanks so much. I think that's going to wrap it up for today. Again, if you have any questions, you can always drop us a line at budgetcouple.com and click on that contact link. It'll take you to our contact form where you can fill out a questionnaire and it will get to us. It goes right to my inbox. And that will do it for this week. Thanks so much.
Thanks, guys. Bye.
Thank you so much for listening to this episode of the Budget Couple Podcast with your hosts, Nate and Danielle. For more great content and to stay up to date, visit budgetcouple.com. Make sure to check out the next episode of the Budget Couple Podcast, where we'll talk more about life, family, and how to afford it. We'll catch you next time.